Said me to her and see the world for me. Told her I'm a virgin. She said, my lady, let me teach you anything. I told her I'm a sugar.
We are live here at the Movement for Business podcast. We got Jen in the house. This lovely, beautiful spirit, Jen from Retention Strategies Unlimited. I'm so happy to have you, Jen.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Yes, girl. And hold on, before we even get started, shout out to Salima because I see Peace Paints in the building. I love that shirt. I love. First of all, Salima is just so awesome.
Yes.
So shout out to Salima because she's a huge fan of the show. So just wanted to definitely give her some love and some light. Loving that shirt. Yes. I know some Peace Paints.
No coincidence that I ended up wearing it today. I just needed all of the peace with me today. I'm like, oh, bet it away.
Hello. I know some Peace Paints when I see it. So I'm so glad that you did that.
Yes. Handmade in love.
Yes. I love every stitch, right?
I love it.
So happy to have you, Jen. From the time that I met you, such a beautiful spirit, love, light. You're just so common whenever I speak to you.
Same here.
Just to highlight your business, one thing I love that we talked about, you offer retention strategies, correct? So you're a retention specialist, and also you manage college prep for students who are in high school, going up to their college education, kind of training them, showing them what they need to do in order to like take their next steps and make that big decision from when they're going into higher education.
Yes.
I so love that. Parents, you definitely need to make sure that you tune into this information because anybody who has teenagers, shout out to my teenager who is going to be 16 actually in 2 weeks.
Nice. Happy birthday.
I know she's getting old, not me. Shout out to Michaela, but Michaela, my daughter, she's actually going into her junior year of high school.
Okay.
I know this would be like a prime time for what it is that you do.
Yeah.
But first, before we talk about like your services, let us know like how you got started into being a retention specialist, and what led you to helping students in the college prep field.
So I'm very passionate about education.
Awesome.
Have always been. We have 4 daughters. Our eldest is 32.
Beautiful.
And she, reading has always been her thing. And just being a mom and just making sure that she had the best educational experience as possible. And that just led to the other 3 that we have as well.
Wonderful.
But my mom actually, rest your soul today, Mom. It's the anniversary of her death today. So love you, Mom.
Yes, thank you.
Education was very pivotal for us growing up. So it was very integral. We had to go. It was not a question of whether or not we were going to school. It was when and where.
Okay.
So, just following that legacy for her and making sure that our children were, equipped and being involved and having a certain kind of expectation of them and how they perform and how they achieve and how they show up for themselves and recognizing how important it is for them to kind of open doors and horizons for themselves.
Absolutely.
So
that's awesome. Okay, Mom, she is still that. Good for you. So talking about like college prep and things, tell us about some of the services that you will offer to like high school students who are thinking about their higher education, what steps that they need to take, what service you provide for parents as they're going towards that field.
So for parents, a lot of times, especially in our communities of underserved and marginalized people, our parents didn't go to college.
Absolutely true.
So because they didn't go to college, and even those that did go to college, they weren't really part of the process. People were just kind of hand-holding them and showing them what to do and how to do it, and they just kind of
figured it out along the way.
And there was a lot of bumps in the road, and sometimes you had to drop out and all kind of things. So what I do is I step in and I say, hey, do you know what it is you want to do? And a lot of times it's no. I try to encourage parents to recognize that it's okay that your kid doesn't know what they want to do.
Right.
I teach them that it's okay for you to not know what to do. But let me show you how to do it.
Absolutely.
Sit with you and say, okay, these are the avenues that you can take.
Okay.
These are the other, there's some nuances in getting into college and being in college that people don't really talk about or teach people.
Okay.
They don't tell us those things. They kind of keep those things kind of quiet.
And now do some of those things entail guiding parents on how to do financial aid and those processes?
Like you have middle class now, the financial guidelines are so difficult right now that you don't really have the opportunity to get any financial aid.
Wow.
But And if you find yourself that you're going to have to end up paying cash for school, you don't have to do a FAFSA.
Oh wow! Oh
Right?
wow! That's something different, and that's something that was huge.
Yeah.
When I was in school, everybody was like, "Oh, FAFSA." Every single year, you have to do a FAFSA. So that's good to know that you don't.
If you're paying cash for school, you don't have to do a FAFSA.
Okay.
If you need loans, you have to do a FAFSA.
Okay, right. Absolutely.
So that's the part of it that people usually do a FAFSA for. Is because even though they're not going to qualify for aid, the only way you're going to get the aid is if you fill out the FAFSA.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they basically make a determination of how much you can actually loan or borrow.
Okay.
Basically for school.
Okay, cool.
So it's teaching them how to do that, showing them how important it is for them to file their taxes regularly. But then from that, recognizing that just because you filled out your FAFSA and they made a determination of what your EFC is and how much you need to pay out of pocket, because your FAFSA taxes are determined based on 2 years prior, you might not have been making that money anymore. That you can appeal your package.
Yeah.
That's something that they don't teach you.
Wow.
So, you get into your school, you're excited to get accepted, then they get the package in the mail from the financial aid and how much you have to pay out of pocket, and then you're scared, but you sign it anyway, not knowing that you don't have to.
Wow. So you're like not on top of educating, you're pretty much an advocate,
Yes.
like right for rights.
That's better. That's probably better.
Okay. All right. You might have to add that to your title, girl.
I think I will.
I am a college prep advocate.
Exactly. That's better.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. So parents, please make sure that you follow the screens so that you can contact Jen. I think that is extremely important because myself, I know although I did go to college at some point, I'm sure things have changed significantly. So I definitely would love for you to be a part of my daughter's path as far as like telling me what it is that I need to do, especially I'm a full-time entrepreneur, right? So I don't know what that looks like filling
paper.
out on paper, right? To show like hey, this is kind of what I have, for me to have like a student in college. So I think that's wonderful that you do that. Can you tell us like the retention specialist side of things for your business and what you offer?
A lot of times students get into school and again, they don't understand time management. They don't understand what it is now to be on their own. They don't have your parent waking them up in the morning to go to class. You get into school and you have an advisor that might be a business major or a business professor, and you're an art major. But he needs to fill his classes. So he puts you in a business class or you end up with a class that you shouldn't have.
Oh, wow. And just wasting money.
You're wasting a lot of money. And then things spiral out of control. Even especially now during COVID time, a lot of people weren't able to do virtual learning. So it's, you're hitting those bumps and you don't know what to do. So now you're stuck with this bill, you're not in school, what do I do now? Not recognizing that they can actually appeal all of those things. That they can get student counseling inside of the school and make sure that that's documented and making sure that they get the services in school that you're paying for with your tuition and fees.
And I learned that too. Like even when I was in college, there were so many different resources. Like even like they'll tell you, tutoring, but no, there's like a full-fledged tutoring program in your college that you can fully utilize. And I do think like a lot of schools do fail to tell us like every single thing that you
writing
need.
Center.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially if you're in if you're in fear of failure, you go to your dean, you tell them, listen, I think I'm going to fail this class. I need support. You make sure it's documented. They send you to the writing center. It's kind of like a probationary or some sort of trial piece where you can actually be successful. No college wants to lose a student.
Right, I can imagine. Right.
So it's not about just your money. It's about your body.
Right.
Because on paper, all of those things are aligned with their accreditation.
Absolutely.
So they can't afford to
and that's
lose
how they get their
students,
funding.
and that's how they get funding.
Okay, cool.
So as much as they seem to be disconnected, especially larger schools where you're really a student ID number, you really have to learn how to get around those kinds of situations.
Okay.
How you reinvent yourself when you get there. How you get involved. How you find those resources.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things that I teach.
I love that. And like, so for a student, like what age would you start recommending your services to like work with children?
Middle school.
Middle school. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The reason why I say middle school is because when you're in middle school, that's when your formative years are really happening.
Okay.
That's when you can actually start talking to your kids about college. That's when you can actually make it a goal. That's when you can actually put it on a vision board for them and they can see themselves in college. And a lot of times that kind of falls short, again, because parents kind of are in a very uncomfortable and awkward position because maybe they didn't go to college. So how can I demand my kid to go to college?
Right.
But the truth is that the purpose in you working and struggling and doing all these things and sacrificing is for that child or for your kids to to have more than what you did.
For sure.
So it's not so much to put the demand on them that they go to college, but it's more, listen, you will have more doors open for you if you do it. And I'll make that sacrifice so it can happen for you.
Nice.
So it's just making sure that you kind of building the legacy pretty early.
Yeah, and giving people a head
earlier.
start. That's true because, like, listen, my daughter's about to be 16. I remember when she was 1. Now I'm like, oh, Lord, it's time to buy a car. It's time to get her ready for school. Exactly. So I think that's actually wonderful. At first, I'm like, okay, but that does make sense. So you say, like, around, like, 5th, 6th grade?
Like, sixth grade, 7th grade.
And I think that's important, too, because then, you know, even when kids are going into college, like things like from their freshman year, getting into different clubs and programs that can help lead them right to like scholarships and things like that.
And scholarships, you can apply for scholarships in middle school.
Nice.
For college.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, Jen.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Listen, and I love that. And I love that you are representative, obviously, for minorities and people of color. So I think that is absolutely extraordinary what you're doing. Parents, again, I highly encourage that you go see Jen for Retention Strategies Unlimited, because we need these different things. We need resources. We need advocates, people who look like us, talk like us, and think like us, and can relate to where we are, even for parents to children, to make sure that they're on the right path. Jen, you're so awesome.
Thank you.
I thank you. I definitely shout out to Jen, because Jen today is let's honor your mom.
We're talking about my mom.
Yes, we're gonna talk about her mom. She pushed through to be here today. She came in honor of her mother.
Yes.
Again, who told her that education is high. So listen, no better way.
No better way.
I'm so proud of you. It's such a pleasure having you. Parents, make sure you follow the screens. Contact Jen so that you can get your kids started for their education. We're talking higher learning, y'all.
Higher learning.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. I love it.